This had better be the last time we have to tear this transmission down and rebuild it because of parts. I seriously did not expect there to be 6 videos on a T90 rebuild. But here we are. Well, that came apart quite a bit quicker than the first time, and the second time, and maybe the third time. It helps when you have practice. Now let's clean everything up and get ready to put it all back together. For a while I was grumbling about the lack of US-made parts for these transmissions, and we have to depend on a bunch of Chinese-made ones where you never really know what you're gonna get. But I've come to look at it maybe a different way. The case is still American-made, second gear is still American-made, the bearing retainer is American-made, and the synchronizer hub is still American-made. But the main shaft is Chinese-made, and it works just fine. First gear's Chinese. The main gear is Israeli-made. The front bearing's Japanese. The rear bearing is Chinese. The blocking rings are US-made, but the springs for the synchronizer hub, I honestly don't know where they're from. But with any luck, it's all going to come together in the end and form one functioning transmission. Basically, it's a melting pot of parts. Much like America is a melting pot of people and cultures. And it just works out in the end. So we ran into a snag, and for all we know, this was the source of all of our issues. When we went to put this snap ring on, it was extremely tight in here. And when that snap ring was in place, second gear was bound about as bad as it has ever been. And what we found was quite possibly the culprit was the clutch hub for that synchronizer. This is the Omix one. I just ended up getting a replacement because there was quite a bit of rust on the original one. But when I swapped out for the old original one, sure enough, that snap ring actually does fit under the grooves like it's supposed to. And this guy might have been part of the problem the whole time. The whole time I was blaming gears when it could have been this sucker. So we wire wheeled the original one, got it cleaned up enough. I didn't want to use it because it had rust and pitting, but it seems to work right now, so we're going to continue on with this one. Maybe I was a little bit hasty in calling out that little synchronizer hub as the root of all evil for this transmission, but it was a contributing factor, and this is what happens when you swap out parts of different makes and different vintages. Sometimes a few thou on one part versus another will cause a problem like this. And this is why it's been helpful for me to have a few different parts laying around from all of my attempted purchasing lately to get this thing rebuilt. But if you do end up with all of the right parts that are built to quality control standards that will work together, this kind of just goes to show how simple of a rebuild the T90 transmission is. All of this took place in an evening, and despite running into the unexpected curveball with the synchronizer clutch hub and having to take a quick delay to remake that little wooden dowel that held all of the needle bearings in place, this still only took about 3 hours maybe total. And here we have it, a freshly rebuilt T90 transmission, and everything spins as it should. It's in reverse right now, but most importantly, it's not binding up. So here's the unexpected curveball. This is the synchronizer clutch hub. It's an Omix part, and basically what it looks like was this surface right here was standing just a little bit too proud of the surface. Or maybe this side is too. I don't really know. I didn't take the time to measure it out, but all I know is that when I took this out and put the original back in after a very thorough wire wheeling, it worked as expected, as I probably explained earlier in the video. So I guess add this to the list of questionable parts. If you can reuse your original clutch hub, use it. So aside from one other matter that I should have checked, but didn't really know to check, remember how I told everyone in a couple of videos ago to check your shift forks? Check your shift forks. Yeah, these need to be replaced, so I've got those on order, and I'll throw those in off camera. That's quick and easy enough. But aside from this, there's only one thing left to do. Oh, I hope my back forgives me.
My back did not, in fact, forgive me.
And a couple of days later, we're back. Most of the time, my back is okay, but every once in a while, I can improperly lift a transfer case, or sometimes it's just as simple as reaching over and picking something up, like an Xbox controller that one time. And it takes nothing more than that to pop one of two discs out of place in my back, and then I'm basically stuck in bed for a week. So, yeah, falling off a roof, 0 out of 10, do not recommend. It messes up your back for life. Avoid it if you can. Back to the video, we have new shift forks in. I'm going to quickly get those installed, and then we're going to bolt everything up and just make sure it all works as intended. At least now I can confidently say someone else has been in here, because that says T90C, and this is a T90A. But yeah, there was wear. Now let's try for the team lift.
I guess if we're actually taking the time to paint on that aviation forma gasket stuff to really make a good seal on this gasket between the two cases, that must mean we have a high degree of confidence that this will work this time. Also, don't forget thread sealer on the couple of bolts that do go through the case into the oil. That'll really help you prevent leaks. I might have forgotten and had to go back and do it again.
Alright, with that, it is all together. Now all that's left is to put this output gear on so it will engage the transfer case. The next challenge we ran into was this new Omix output gear. It didn't want to fit. So what we ended up doing, well, now that it's in here I don't think it'll come out. But long story short, we took a page out of Brian, aka Metal Shaper's book, put a bunch of valve lapping compound on the old main shaft that I couldn't reuse for a couple of reasons. And that's just this valve grinding stuff. And just worked the gear along that output shaft a few times, and that was able to grind out a couple of the high spots and allow it to fit like it was supposed to. And there we have it. Hey, the workbench is even halfway clean. Transmission, I hope, is done. Transfer case is done. Everything seems to work as it should. All that's left is a gasket for the top cover and a gasket for the PTO cover. But it's done, finally. And there you have it. The dynamic duo, the T90 and the Dana 18, are back together again for what I hope to be the last time, and I think they're done correctly. Knock on wood. I did not expect that to be a 6-month journey, but here we are at the end of it, I hope. I know it's been a long road, but I hope you guys got something out of this, whether it just be entertainment from watching me struggle, or maybe a few tips and tricks about how not to do things or what to watch out for when you do your rebuild, especially when it comes to some of these parts out there that are just not quite right. But if you learned something, if you liked the video, do me a favor and leave a like below, leave a comment down below, even if you're just saying hello. It does help the channel grow. Thank you for watching, and I'll see you guys on the next one.